What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy MORDIN and I'm back again with another video. Today we are going to talk about the yellow Lamborghini case, the media's shifting narrative. I want us to look at how the media capitalizes on certain information when the news breaks out and how they quickly dent the image of a brand, or they dent a brand's image, right? In this case, Shatta Wale. We look at some of the tactics that is used and how you, the viewer, can also decide personally for yourself to educate yourself on how to actually take care of things properly. The first thing is the initial shockwave. Anytime a news hits the media, right, a lot of people start digging in and start finding information here and there, right? And the first reports and the raw reaction, right, to the yellow Lamborghini in this case is what people go with, right? The first reports that you see. So you see the immediate focus on the dramatic visuals, right? And the initial unconfirmed details, right? The narrative established in the first 24 to 48 hours is very critical. You understand? So it has to do with Shatta Wale. The first 24 to 48 hours, within the first 2 days, what do we see? We immediately see stolen vehicle, and then we see things like fraud associated with Shatta Wale's name. You understand? And even after this, right, when the truth is made public, it would be difficult for one to reverse all the negativity that have already come out, because people always take things on first time basis or first seen basis. And so you look at any issue that is coming, whatever is circulated within the first 2 days is what stays in the minds of people, right? And mostly the kind of people we have today are those that go with public narrative. Anything that is out there that a lot of people are jumping to is the same music they sing. You understand? Even to the detriment of those who claim they are educated, it works across board the same way. And before you realize, a person's character has been dented. That's the character assassination phase, right? So the initial shockwave is the picture that is painted, right? The picture that's so he's a criminal. When you look at it, he's dealing in fraudulent things, this expensive car and all those kind of stuff, right? They look at a stolen car. Shatta Wale's Lamborghini is stolen already. People started questioning how he was able to afford such a car. You understand? So the first initial shockwave is just the first reports that are going out there, the kind of message that is being sent out there. It has to be made dramatic enough, even though the information is unconfirmed. You understand? So people dwell a lot on speculations, rumor, and they try to make it as true as possible so that whatever you sink your teeth in will stay. You would have the feel, you will have the taste of it. And in this case, that is what is done in the first 24 to 48 hours, right? Right after that, then comes the character assassination phase, right? Where they shift the focus, right? Scrutinizing the individual, right, involved, right? His background, his past actions, his financial status, and then comes in the introduction of moral judgments and public shaming, by certain outlets, including the media and some individuals. So you also have framing of the event, right, to evoke outrage, you get it, and condemnation from the audience segment. So they try to for example, first things first, they scrutinize the individual. So the issue is now there. Shatta Wale has stolen a yellow Lamborghini. Shatta Wale is involved in an FBI fraud case and all that kind of stuff, right? The next thing that happens is that they start looking, he's a musician. When you look at some of the other musicians, no one is living lavishly like he does. He's disrespectful. They are digging into his background, his past actions, his financial whatnots, forgetting his endorsement deals that he's had. Any good thing that could actually show that he actually makes money, they will deviate from that. They will actually deviate from that, and they'll try to paint the picture like, look at his colleagues, no one is driving the type of cars he's driving. Look at the type of followership, the people that follow him, and they try to, that is when the framing, they frame to get some sort of condemnation from the public. So they go like, Shatta Wale's type of followership are uneducated folks, all these things are triggers, you understand? And then they come in and then they try to act moral, they put some information out there that is like trying to be the judge, to say that don't follow this path. In fact, yes, we've been saying that Shatta Wale's character, the way he does things in the past, the way he's been doing everything is not the best. And so because of this, guys, stay away. Say no to drugs. Say no to shouting in public. Say no to challenging authority, because authority will always fight back. You understand? So they create this, and then comes in a counter narrative where you have independent journalists and online communities. They start questioning the dominant story. So this is where a lot of people start going like, okay, so now this issue is out there. Shatta Wale has stolen a car and other. People who care will start asking questions, and when questions are being asked, that is where answers will start popping up. So unveiling of unlooked details, you understand, this is where it comes in, where people will be like, oh, but you said he's stolen a car. So if he's stolen a car, why haven't you arrested him? If he's stolen a car, that same car was cleared from the Tema port, right? With the sophistication of technology that these Western companies, or these Western countries have, why haven't they been able to detect, or why didn't they detect the stolen car before it left their shores to the Ghana ports? For someone to spend his hard-earned cash on it to buy before you start saying that this is a stolen car. You understand? So alternative perspectives will also start coming in, and then potential biases and initial reporting, this kind of stuff. So people will start suggesting things. Now, people who are in favor of Shatta Wale, who want to look at, who wants to give people the opportunity to look at things properly, will start saying, hey guys, I don't think Shatta Wale will go and buy a stolen car. It is not something that he would do. Yes, he may be out there shouting and all that kind of stuff, but don't you think Shatta Wale can afford a car? Then people start making you understand that this is the same person that was featured by Beyonce on the African King album. The royalties alone on those that thing is different. This is someone who has a collaboration with Vybz Kartel. This is one of the most hardworking African artists we've seen. You get it? Who year in, year out is releasing anywhere between 100 to 120 songs, right? And all these songs are on the digital streaming platform. So you have DistroKid doing a lot of the distribution. You have YouTube, you have AudioMac, and even if, when you come to the Ghanaian CD, even if all these songs that he has, over 500 songs that Shatta Wale has uploaded across board, if each song is giving him 50 pesos, do the math and see if this guy cannot afford such one of this type of thing. Was when Shatta Wale came live one time and showed his phone to actually show how much he was making from DistroKid, for example. This will now start pricking the minds of people who want to listen to a different thing, to start asking questions, to start now making assumptions here and there, or questioning the right things, or start to ask for detailed questions. Then the turning point where new evidence or context, new evidence or something to contest challenges previously held, the beliefs that people were carrying about. So once all these things are coming, then people will start being like, oh, you guys are saying, you see, along the line, then came the issue of someone who was killed linked to the Lamborghini issue. Yeah, someone who was murdered in the States, someone who committed fraud and all those. So now that those information are coming out, people are now trying to create the impression that, oh, okay, so Shatta Wale isn't responsible for this thing after all, right? And then you have later on the IOCO, that's the Economic and Organized Crime Office, coming out with a press release and now detailing the facts, and you know that there is no money laundering in there, you know there is no scamming in there or fraudulent activity in there, you know it's not a stolen car. Shatawale himself and some bloggers brought out evidence that shows that this car with the VIN number, the vehicle identification number, when you run through the softwares or the websites that do those checks, it came out clean that the car wasn't stolen. So these are some of the things, but you always have these things, and then you have the final phase where you would say maybe we'll classify as the public perception vortex, where analysis of how the evolving media portrayal impacted public opinions for people to actually see these things. So over time, how were they always pushing Shatawale's narrative, right? When you look at Shatawale as an artist, what is the public perception of his brand? You get it? So there are some brands, when you start attaching certain false narratives to, it won't fly because of how they are, right? I quite remember at the beginning stages of R2B's career, right? A lot of people were alleging them to be scammers. A lot of them were saying that they are homosexuals and all that kind of stuff. You see, all these things going back and forth, people bring it and attach to their craft. And what did they do? They gave Ghanaians hits back to back to back, and then they stepped back. And they've been in that shadows, and people respect them, and it looks like all this negative narrative has died down. You understand? So there are some brands, when you bring this type of issues with, people will just kill it. Let's look at a brand like Daddy Lumba. May he so rest in perfect peace. When there was all this thing with this SDA man who featured him, and there was 500,000 Ghana cedi in contention. Yeah, Ampon, great Ampon, right? You saw how quickly that news died out. People heard of it, but no one believed that Lumba could do something like that or would take such money, because people see him as a successful artist who has wealth, who has money, and so will not take a mere 500,000 cedis. So even if it is true and it is something negative that Daddy Lumba did, because of his perceived image, a lot of people will not even look to that at all. So over time, a certain image has been built in the media space about Shatawale, and because of this, people are easily lured to follow a certain narrative, and it destroys. Can this also be linked to some of the public outreaches that Shatawale himself have done? Yes, of course. There are ways he's spoken in the past about some things that are on his heart, and people misinterpret it and take it along. People always tag him in a certain way, right? And sometimes he fuels that thing also by the way he behaves and the way he moves, right? But this is an artist who has chosen clearly where he wants to be, because he chose the street. He chose people who have no voice, and he wants to represent them. And if you want to represent those kind of people, you can't be wearing suit and tie to be dealing with guys who live in the ghettos. And so those are some of the things, pros and cons. Right now, he has the love from the streets, like undiluted love from the street, right? And because of that, his relevance has been there, right, to the very peak. But the downside to it as well is that any negative thing that happens in the ghettos or in the streets and all that will smear his brand, especially when people who haven't listened to his songs to actually know what he talks about and the hope he preaches and the changes he wants to make in the ghettos and all that kind of stuff. People who haven't listened and know what he's about will just say that when you hear things like the red pandemic in the ghettos and all that, then Shatawale is the one fueling it. When you hear things like fraud, oh yeah, he mentioned he's making money like a thief or whatnot, and all those kind of stuff. But these are the same people who those who channel out this type of reportage are the same people who follow American music, American rap culture and all that stuff, and they find nothing wrong with it. You understand? So this is some of the things, right? The role of social media in implying or challenging different narratives. Nowadays things just fly quickly. Immediately you get an information to go out there. So sometimes I'm happy with the fact that with social media nowadays, we can people will bring receipts, right? They have enough evidence that they've saved on their phone, some screenshots and all that stuff, and so immediately those type of things start coming around, and people will start informing themselves. You're right, examining whether apologies, retractions, or clarifications effectively altered public perception is also another thing one has to look at. But when the reputation is already damaged, there is nothing you can actually do. But somehow, lucky for Shatawale, he has some aura around him where anytime there's some sort of negativity, any negative thing that happens at all, no matter how grave it is or big or impactful it is, something positively bigger, equally bigger than what was coming, comes the way and calms the whole thing, and then everything just dies down. But that is Shatawale's brand. Some brands may not necessarily have that. So what do we do as a people from all these type of things? We need to identify the key takeaways, from for the media consumers regarding critical thinking and source of evaluation. So before you post anything, if you are a blogger like myself, if you are a media person, make sure you authenticate where it is coming from, because this is someone's brand. You understand? Make sure your source of information is correct. Every information is accurate. A lot of the media folks have Shatawale's manager or the PRO's number, Sammy Banflex. His number is public. Everybody can contact him. And he's not a guy you contact me and he will never talk to you. He talks to everybody. If he's busy, he will message you later. And so this is when one can actually get over there and say, hey, this is what we are hearing. Can you give us the facts before we even report? But nowadays, it looks like the first to publish is the one who gets the most likes and the most mileage. And so everybody tries to jump on the same bandwagon, right? So discussion on the ethical responsibilities of media organizations is also another thing in reporting such complex cases, right? Nowadays, I keep saying that the traditional media is actually fighting and battling for relevance on the internet with bloggers and all social media influencers, so-called, right? Those who are just doing these things out of passion. Like for me, I haven't had any journalism educational background whatsoever, right? And so I may not necessarily know the ethics that govern the whole media reportage as an institution, right? But you have people who were educated in that field who could have also come out to say that this is the right way to go, that we can actually do things properly. But you have these people battling it out with people like us, So then comes the question of the ethics, the balances that comes into the type of way these things are reported on all the talk shows that you have. Some reputable media houses that we know as authoritative voices, example GH1, Joy News, they goofed big time. And how do you come back from something like that? And so the laurels now lies on us as individuals that right now we can't trust these big media houses, right? When you can now still believe the likes of BBC, the likes of DW News, simply because in their reportage they actually did a one-on-one what the case was. You understand? But the people who are closest to us, who speak our language, are reporting something different. And so now we have to educate ourselves from a different lens and make sure that everything that we do is clearly not following the trend. And so when a news breaks out, no matter what the news is, take a step back, reevaluate everything, and try to find out the important things necessary. Don't rush to share and to comment and share your thoughts on it as if you know better. You understand? At the end of the day, anything that is happening on the social media front, there are actual human beings attached to it, and feelings are often triggered, right? And so if you were the one, if it was your sibling, if it was your sister, what would you do? How will you react in such an instance? So I employ all of us to go out there and do the needful. My name is MORDIN. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Maybe next time we will all be prudent on how to go about issues like this. Peace out.